Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. It's been quite a while since I filmed. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. And funny enough, this video is actually going up on my birthday. I'm 22 officially as this video goes up, but I'm here for my August wrap-up. I read about 7 to 8 things this month, which was super impressive for me, especially since classes have started and I am dying. So just a heads up for the next following months. From now on, probably what I'm mostly going to be reading is audiobooks, mangas, and graphic novels. So yeah. Anyways, let's jump into the books I read this month. So the first book I read was Dredd Nation by Justina Ireland. This is a historical fiction set following the Civil War that deals with zombies. If you haven't heard about this book, it's been very, very hyped since it was released. So I feel like a lot of people know what this story is about, and honestly, I really want to see this as a movie. It's so fucking badass. And lucky for me, I was able to score a signed copy at North Texas Teen Book Festival back in April. I have been dying to getting around to reading this, and I read this for a booktubeathon, but also Michaela put it on my TBR for summer, where I let a bunch of my friends pick some books for me to read this summer. And holy crap, it was great. I listened to this on audiobook. Personally, I enjoyed the audiobook. The narrator didn't bother me. My roommate, Laura, on the other hand, who also had to listen to this out loud sometimes, like when I was doing my makeup or something, was not a fan of the narrator, so just be aware of that. Otherwise, this book is completely kick-ass. I love our main character, Jane. I love her companions. Holy crap, this is just so funny. It's so like Western. I freaking loved it, and I cannot wait to get the next book in this series. I do have to say, there's also some representation. There is a bi character and there's also an asexual character, but do not think that plays a whole theme throughout most of the book. We don't even find out those two tidbits till like towards the very end of the book, and they're very, very slight, kind of thrown in there, which is fine. But being as somebody who went in like was excited to see that representation of asexuality in there and not even finding out about it till like the end was kind of like, really? But other than that, it was absolutely amazing. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I finished Rose Under Fire by Elizabeth Wynn. This is the companion novel to Codename Verity. This takes place during the latter half of World War II, and we follow our main character, Rose, who gets taken hostage by the Germans and thrown into a concentration camp. And this book is very sad and very moving. We also get to see some characters, particularly one main character from Codename Verity that we see in this book. So I would suggest reading Codename Verity before reading this, because there are spoilers for an event that happens in Codename Verity. This one was very emotional and very impactful. Codename Verity was the same way, but this one actually made me cry, and I had to put it down at times just because I didn't think I could handle some of the subject matter being talked about, especially in the concentration camps and how horrible it was. I know this is obviously historical fiction and it's not really based on any actual people, but the author did do a lot of research on this particular camp that she uses, what happened to the people there. I think she also went to some type of conference there as well with a bunch of other academics, and so there's a lot of work and real facts that go into this book that just make it that much more terrifying, and I think this is something that everybody should read. I absolutely loved it. I also rated this 5 out of 5 stars. Also, shout out to Cheyenne for letting me borrow this. Next, I finished You Bring the Distant Near by Matali Perkins. This is a book I picked up pretty much solely because the cover and the spine is absolutely gorgeous. This is a multi-generational novel. We follow 5 different women in this family that are all Indian and their time in America. And this was just really good, and it really shows you kind of perspectives like on like immigrants coming to the country and like trying to fit in, and it's just, I don't know, I just really loved it. I also listened to the audiobook for this, and there were narrators for each of the characters, which was really nice. I would really recommend this to anybody who is looking for that sort of thing. It's really short for the amount of time it like packs into there, and I just highly recommend it to everybody. I can't even come up with a coherent description of it. I also give this 5 out of 5 stars. And my final read for Booktubeathon was How to Love the Empty Air by Kristen O'Keefe Eptowicz. This was sent to me by Wonderkind PR. finally got a chance to get around to reading it. It's a collection of poetry about Kristen's loss of her mother and like trying to deal with that, and it was really sad. I actually have a review kind of with all my thoughts on this, which I'll link up here if you want to watch it. It was really heartbreaking and really, really hard to read, especially as somebody who thankfully still has my mom around. Like, I don't really want to think about the day where I won't have my mom to like call or like talk to if like I'm having a bad day. But it was really beautiful, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars as well. Next, I finished City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. This is book 5. This is book 5 in the More Torn series. I only have one more book to go, and I am done with the series, and it's the one book I actually haven't read. Obviously, can't really talk much about this because it's the 5th book in a series. Mortal Instruments, I would just recommend any Shadowhunter book if you're into that. I like it. Clary and Jace, for some reason, aren't that annoying in this compared to some of the other ones. But I really liked it. I love that we get to see more of Sebastian. He's kind of one of my favorite characters, and he's just so twisted. And it's still 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I finished The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. This is a reimagining of The Little Mermaid. I read this for Read-a-thon and then just took forever to finally finish it. I also read it during Read-a-thon is when I finally finished this. I have a love-hate relationship with this book. It's mermaids, and I love mermaids, and this is also just like a really beautiful like book. Like, so there's the dust jacket, but even like without the dust jacket, like, it's gorgeous and I love it. And I liked some of the aspects of the mermaid world because they were really different from any other mermaid book I've read. It was definitely more of a patriarchy, and women are definitely very, very oppressed in it. I thought it was kind of interesting doing that perspective on it. Yet I had a lot of problems with it because it's marketed as a feminist retelling, and I don't feel like our main character did enough to like step up against it. Like, really, all the actions she did were for herself and like not really thinking much of her fellow mermaids and just kind of leaving them all there to deal with that shit. I don't know, I just didn't really like it. And you know, I was gonna give it 3 stars, but now I think I'm gonna change it to 2 stars. There was just like a lot of things that I didn't feel like were wrapped up very well. Like, there's this whole plot line of like trying to find her, like what happened to her mother, gets on land, forgets about like literally everything for a guy. Another thing I really did like, the repercussions of our main character getting legs and like what she had to go through to get the legs, and kind of dealing with that and like the repercussions of actually having them. Like, I thought that was really cool. It was an interesting take on the story, but overall, like, I had a lot of problems with this, and the main character was really annoying, and the dude who's supposed to be like Prince Eric was just such a fucking asshole, and I don't know why she stayed around. So this book gets 2 stars from me. Next, I read Sheets by Brianna Thumler. This is a graphic novel. I don't think it's out yet, or it might have just come out. I got this through NetGalley, and I actually requested it because a lot of people I follow have been requesting it and reviewing it, and it's really cute. Essentially, it's like a graphic novel about this girl who is basically running her family's laundromat since her dad is in such a depressive state after her mother's died. He can't even function, so she's doing everything herself while still going to school and taking care of her younger brother. Some guy's trying to buy out the company and turn it into like a resort, and then there's this cute little ghost who crosses over to our side and starts to wreak havoc. It was really cute. It's sad. I love the art. I mean, it's kind of sad. It's got a happy ending, okay? But I love the art style, and I really, really love the color palette, and of course it takes place around fall, so it was a great read. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend everybody get yourself a copy if you can. It was really cute. Next, I finished Entwined by Heather Dixon. This was actually another reread for me. I read this as well for Fairy Telethon because the audiobook was available, and I've been meaning to getting around to rereading this. This is a retelling of The 12 Dancing Princesses, which is a story that I didn't realize was an actual story. I feel like I mention this every time I talk about this book, but my only knowledge of like The 12 Dancing Princesses was the Barbie movie, and I just thought it was a Barbie movie. I didn't realize it was an actual tale. I read this a couple years ago and I absolutely loved it. I wanted to reread it. Finally got a chance to reread it. I love the audiobook. I just love this. I highly recommend it to everybody, especially if you like dancing and you like fantasy. I gave it still its rating of 5 out of 5 stars, and not enough people have read this book for my liking, so I need everybody to read it, please. And the final 2 things I read in the month of August were volumes 11 and 12 of My Hero Academia. I'm almost caught up. I just have 2 more volumes and I'm officially caught up. Can't really talk about it because like it's the 11th and 12th volume, but it's a superhero society, really interesting. We follow our character Midoriya, who is quirkless and then has a quirk, and him going to like the super prestigious superhero school and the shenanigans and horrible situations that him and his classmates find themselves in. It's amazing. I love this. A lot of the characters have actually grown on me in this series, and I'm slowly watching the anime as well. Gave them both 4 stars, I believe. Alright, so that is it for the books that I read in August. Please let me know down below what books you read. Did you read any of these books? Let me know your opinions on them. Please, somebody else read My Hero or watch it, because I need somebody to talk to about it. Also, I've recently gotten into watching anime. I only watch 3 currently. But please leave me your anime recommendations down below. I do watch My Hero, like I already stated. My sister and I are watching Angels of Death as well, and I just recently started Noragami. So please let me know down below some of your favorite animes, because I always need more to watch and to procrastinate doing homework. So until then, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!